Hi, I'm going to show you today how I like to mark up scores. So I've got 3 different pieces with different challenges, different things to think about. First of all, there is Schubert's Am Grabe Anselmos, which is at the grave of Anselmo. First of all, look at your key signature and your time signature, really important. You'll see that this has got 6 flats. So if you're just sort of trying to bash out the notes, it's really quite helpful to take note of when there are a lot of flats there, or a lot of sharps come to that. It's langsam, slow, and a crotchet equals 50. Just useful to know all these things before you start. They're very basic things, but they're very important. And you know, I like writing in beat lines, and I think it helps a lot. Maybe not in everything, but you know, it can help you when you've got a sort of rather empty bar with nothing much going on underneath. You have to be the driving force in the rhythm, so it's important that you know where you're going with that. Don't be vague about that. For instance, we've got dass ich dich verloren habe, fine. Then we've got a little syncopation, dass du nicht mehr bist. Nothing going on in the piano. So, you know, that third beat and that first and second beat of the next bar, it's really important that you're confident in the way you sing those, so know where you're going with those beats. You've got, the thing I meant to say about Schubert is you find the information you need is going to be in the piano part. He won't give you much at all in the vocal line. So look to the piano part to find out where you are meant to be singing more quietly usually, or crescendoing, you know, but you will mirror the piano part. That's the best tip, I think. So we've got dass du nicht mehr bist. I would put a little tail on that and make it a quaver rather than a crotchet, so that even though you've got time, there's nothing going on underneath you after that held chord. You've got dass du nicht mehr bist. Ach is a really important word. Ach, das hier in diesem Grabe. So, you know, you want to make sure that you've got time to get to that E flat. You know, that don't hang around on the C flat, on the bist, because then we lose energy. Bist, ach, das hier. So that's really important. And then I've written a little arrow there, keep it moving forward. We'll see in the piano part, we've got piano and crescendo in the piano part. Do the same in the vocal line. Ach, das hier in diesem Grabe mein Anselmo ist. I've got a little squiggly line there just to say you've got a little bit of leeway because nothing is going on underneath, but still keep that feeling, that arrow, that mental arrow of going forward. Mein Anselmo ist. Look, we've got a little accent here. Das, the sforzando in the piano part, you've got your own little accent there. Das ist mein Schmerz. That's where my pain is. This is somebody who's lost a loved one, is standing by the grave of Anselmo. Das ist mein Schmerz. So it's important that that's a dagger to the heart. Das ist mein Schmerz. And make sure that you're really using those consonants. You know, the German language is it's strong, you know, and the consonants are strong. Das ist mein Schmerz. Really use those. Mein Schmerz, we've got a crescendo in the piano part. Use it in the voice part. Mein Schmerz, das ist mein Schmerz. Maybe a little breath in there before das ist mein Schmerz. Definitely underline that one. We've even got a little exclamation mark after it. Now we come to a moment of reminiscence. Seht, wie liebten wir uns beide. Remember how we loved each other. So a little bit of nostalgia, maybe a little smile through the tears. So I've put my little smiley face there just to remind me that it shouldn't be too maudlin and too dark. Seht, wie liebten wir uns beide. It's repeated. Seht, wie liebten wir uns beide. You've got a forte piano in the piano part. Seht, wie liebten wir uns beide. It's just a emphasis. It's repeated, but don't make it too loud. Not too loud on there. Seht, wie liebten wir uns beide. Again, don't hang around on that crotchet when you've got to take a breath. Und solange ich bin, breathe. Kommt Freude niemals wieder in mein Herz. Breathe. We've got a flowing accompaniment going here, so make sure that you're not hanging around on those, even on these quavers. In mein Herz. Kommt Freude niemals wieder in mein Herz. I would put a nice slur there and a legato. Now we come to the reprise of you're singing the same text again, same melody. Dass ich dich verloren habe. He hasn't given you any indication of what dynamic he wants, possibly because he wants you to think for yourself and be an artist. Maybe I would put piano, new color. As I've written in there, new color. Just think it differently. Use your imagination. Be a poet as much as a singer. Dass ich dich verloren habe. Dass du nicht mehr bist. You've got, again, I've got a little accent there, just to remind you of what's going on. That just hint at that when you're in your vocal line. Ach, strong on the ach. Das hier in diesem Grabe. Again, we've got those crescendo, decrescendo. Mein Anselmo ist das. This time we've got a slightly different accent, so it's a little bit more hairpin. Das. So I would really use the diminuendo there, the decrescendo. Das ist mein Schmerz. I've put brackets around that first Schmerz because we've got it coming again. Das ist mein Schmerz. Mein Schmerz, the second one for me is more important. So, and it is in the piano too. You've got the crescendo there. So I wouldn't land on the downbeat on Das ist mein Schmerz. Das ist mein Schmerz. Maybe make a little bit more of that. Mein Schmerz the first time. Das ist mein Schmerz. A strong consonant at the end. So that is the Schubert. Next we've got Debussy. This Debussy is from the Ariette Oubliée, and this is the penultimate song, Green. I've chosen this because he's almost the opposite, Debussy, of Schubert, that you'll get everything written in the vocal line, to the point where you don't actually have to write much. You might just circle around things to remind yourself of what he's asking you to do. Don't ignore what he's asking you to do. So this is in 6/8, and it's a quick 6/8, so it's definitely in 2. So, you know, get your little beat lines in there to just keep yourself rigorous with it, yeah? So we've got pianissimo in the piano part. We've got piano in the vocal part. You know, that's just, it's nice because it means the piano is going to be more filigree and it'll give you nice support without overpowering you if it's being done correctly. You've got lots of duplets here. Voici des fruits des, then you've got fleurs des feuilles, then you've got crotchet quaver. So make sure you differentiate between those two things. We don't want voici des fruits, des fleurs, des feuilles. Voici des fruits, des fleurs, des feuilles et des branches. Very important that you make sure you get that rhythm correct and that you take note of it. Put some circles around those duplets. Et puis voici mon cœur qui ne bat que pour vous. And then here is my heart, which beats only for you. You know, it's lovely. He's got, again, these accents. Et puis voici mon cœur. Really make use of those. Then I've written a legato over this. Qui ne bat que pour vous. We've written a ritenuto over the que pour vous. So you can sort of slightly delay that bar line. Qui ne bat que pour vous, only for you. I would even put one of those little arrows there. Et puis voici mon cœur. Rest, but keep that feeling, qui ne bat que pour vous. Then we've got a tempo, it's picking up again. It's very capricious, this song. That's what's so lovely about it. So there's lots of tempo changes. Ne le déchirez pas, how very emphatic. All those, again, those accents. Ne le déchirez pas, avec vos deux mains blanches. You've got a crescendo there. But that second syllable, blanche, don't have blanche. Don't make too much of that second G natural. Blanche, blanche. I would make that very light, so I've put that in brackets. Blanche. Then we've got the next chord comes in, diminuendo. Et qu'à vos yeux si beaux. That's sort of, be relaxed about that. Really use the diminuendo, but keep your eye on those duplets. So you've got et qu'à vos yeux si beaux, l'humble présence soit doux. I think you can relax a bit more here. You know, you've got the ritenuto. You can have a little breath before l'humble, but really get your legato in there. Yeah, L'humble présent soit doux. And off it goes again into a more energetic phase. J'arrive tout couvert encore de rosée. I've put a little a circle around the D flat of j'arrive because I think it's easy to kind of slightly not get your intonation to really be perfect there. So, you know, your D flat is leading onto that F, so make sure that you really pay attention to that D flat. It's j'arrive tout couvert encore de rosée. Keep that nice, that's a lovely sweeping line there, legato again I would write, but, you know, really make it sweep. Yeah. Then we've got lots of little staccatos. Que le vent du matin vient glacer à mon front. Again, it's the ebb and flow. Just really pay attention to those crescendi and decrescendi. And this piano on the front. We come to the next section, un peu retenu, a little bit held back. So you've got a little bit more time to luxuriate in that's a more relaxed tempo. Souffrez, again, the duplet, souffrez que ma fatigue. Again, you don't want fatigue. Fatigue. Just make that light and put a little bracket around there. But I've put another arrow there, even though you've got those rests. Souffrez que ma fatigue. À vos pieds reposés. Keep that mental thread that you're not going to dip in your concentration there. And then you've got serré tendre. Again, another kind of schizophrenic moment of voila, it goes off into another crazy bit of lovely eagerness. That's what it is. Rêve des chers instants qui la délaceront. Encore plus retenu. So you've got serré, tendre, you know, that's an accelerando, followed immediately by a slowing down. So it's always so capricious, you know. So you've got that rêve des chers instants qui la délaceront. Then we go into andantino. So it's a slower tempo than the opening of the whole song. So just enjoy getting yourself into that calmer, I would say calmer phase, more serene, caressant. Sur votre jeune sein, laissez rouler ma tête. Take your time as you're going over that bar line, the E flat to the A flat. You know, you can be afforded a little bit of indulgence over that A flat, I think. Sur votre jeune sein, laissez rouler ma tête. So just give yourself some time and use the E flat as a springboard to the A flat. It'll make the A flat feel much less of a summit to climb. Then we've got tout sonore encore, all accented and decrescendoed. Again, give yourself that mental connection. De vos derniers baisers. So he's asking you to go from piano decrescendo to that G flat. That's really quite tricky. But again, don't start from such a soft piano that you've got nowhere to go. And again, use the E flat before the G flat to give yourself a little launch pad and make it feel less of a summit. And then we're into the plus lent, slower, legato vowels, pianissimo. Really go legato. Laissez-la s'apaiser de la bonne tempête. Really keep it very, very vowely and legato. Again, pianissimo. Et que je dorme un peu. Very deliberately accented. Puisque vous reposez. I've written these arrows going up that you don't want to get bogged down in those D flats. You want to feel like that last D flat could have been a D flat above. Puisque vous reposez. Keep it really light. So that's the Debussy. Now, we're going on to Stravinsky, and it's Anne Truelove's aria, recitative and aria from The Rake's Progress. This is, I've chosen this because he can be quite rigorous and challenging when it comes to rhythm, tempo. He'll change time signatures a lot. It will be, you have to really keep an eye on what's going on with each bar because it can change very quickly. And because this is, for the moment, we can assume we might be doing it with piano, so you've got somebody following you. But if you're doing this with orchestra, you've got to be really sure that you're not going to, if you get flabby with the rhythm, it's very difficult for a conductor to follow you. So it's very important to be really vigilant. So I did this as a semi-stage concert performance when I did it. This is quite a few years ago. So I notice I've got sort of markings for the third scene, which just precedes the recitative. I've got enter stage right. And sometimes I would draw a little picture like that and have me coming on. I often used to do that. But so, you know, just always, if you're doing opera, it's always very good to write in every single stage direction as you get it. So when you finish your rehearsals for the day, you go home and you can absorb it. You know, it's very important. So let's go to the recitative. It says l'istesso tempo. So what was the tempo? What's the same tempo? Go back a few bars and you'll see that where it says the curtain comes up, it goes back into 3/8. So make sure you write in 3/8, you know where you are. You've got an empty bar from the orchestra or piano there, but it doesn't mean you can mess around with that. Be strict, because as soon as you get into the next bar, you're in 4/8, and you have to really fit in with what's going on underneath you. So be strict. No word from Tom. 1, 2. Has love no voice? Just be strict with those beat lines. So fairly straightforward if you count. Fades it as the rose cut for a rich display. So it's fades it as the rose if you're not careful. Fades it as the rose. Make sure that you don't emphasize that D, that the rose becomes more important. Cut for a rich display. I put one of my little symbols there for making sure that the E is not too E. So you've got a fullness and a roundness to the vowel, rich display. Forgot. But no. Now you see, it'd be so easy on that but no to start it as an upbeat from beat 3 to beat 4. So, you know, but it's not. It's on the beat, but no, and that's the kind of little trap you can fall into there. So that's why it's important to write those in. But no, to weep is not enough. He needs my help. It's a triplet, and I think that's a very deliberate triplet, as they always are. It's there for a reason, to give emphasis. It's a triplet over 2 beats. He needs my help. So you really use that. He needs my help. Come off that just before the semiquaver, so you've got time to breathe. Help. Love hears, risoluto. Love knows, and really don't skimp on those semiquavers that are down there. Love hears, love knows. They're important. It'd be so easy to go, love hears, love knows. No, really pay attention to the note at the bottom too. Love answers him across the silent miles. Breathe. And goes. I've written an R there so that I don't clip the and goes, but and goes. And again, oh, you may think of the O vowel and the go, so the Z comes sort of really late. Don't be thinking about the end of the word before you get to it. Leave it to the very last minute to think about that consonant. And we get into the aria, which is 6/8, but this one's a slow 6/8. And when I initially looked at this, sort of just automatically started putting in a slow 2. No, it's 6 in a bar, I think, for this one. So, you know, but even though it's 6 in a bar, don't let it get lumpy, you know, because it's 6. You know, the reason we often have 6/8 in 2 is so it flows. So this, you've still got to keep that legato line going. Quietly night. Oh, find him and caress him. Oh is right on the downbeat. Oh, find him. So I would put a bracket around that. Oh, find him, and I would put more emphasis on the find, so underline the find him, and caress. I've put another quaver on the crotchet there so that we're not late for and. Oh, find him and caress, and may thou quiet. I mean, that and is funny to have and as a dotted crotchet. Seems a bit long, so you just have to make sure you sustain that and think about going towards and may. This is a time when you can go on the downbeat. And may thou quiet find his heart. Next page, we've got although it be unkind. That's pretty straightforward. Although it be unkind, nor may his beat confess. Then we get this gorgeous section, although I weep. It's really generous and lovely for a soprano to sing. You really are, if you could just note, by the way, you've got a different, this aria has got a different key change. So it's very important to keep noticing that. You've got this, although I weep. Just be careful on those semiquavers that you don't add, although I weep, although I weep. So you're going towards the weep more, and so little brackets around those semiquavers. Again, same thing, although I weep. Now, you could possibly breathe before it knows of loneliness if you need it, and you might need it. So I would cut short that quaver there. Although I weep, give yourself time to breathe. It knows of loneliness. Or you could just go straight through. So you've got options there. It's either that or the arrow through and breathe before the second. It knows of loneliness. Guide me, O moon, is the next phrase. Guide me, O moon, right on that downbeat again. I would again bracket that and make more emphasis on the M of moon. Guide me, O moon, chastely, not chastely, could be so easy to do. Chastely, when I depart is the next thing you want to stress. I depart. And poco rubato, and warmly be the same, legato. Say again, same, get off that one quickly, you haven't got much time, and warmly be the same. He watches over me, much more important. Without grief or shame. Now you've got this love, it cannot. I mean, it's difficult, but if you really, again, look for your vowel, it can, keep a really pure R there. It can, and I've got another one of my symbols there, just to make sure you keep it nice and open and rounded. It cannot. But it can be a nightmare for breathing, so you always come off these notes early so that you give yourself a chance. You've got be, thou art. I've written on the thou, one of these big sunshine things, to remind myself not to get too bogged down in that B natural, because you've got to go way up to the top B natural. And I've written, this must have been written in years ago, it's like a little cylinder, to remind me to stretch it up, lift, but keep connected. That's what that hieroglyphic means to me. And then it's, give yourself time after that. There's a pause. Thou art, wait, make everybody wait. That tiny bit of silence is very powerful in a performance. A colder moon, pause. A colder moon upon a colder heart. You've got more time there, you've got time. I've written that in just to show you what I sometimes do. I mean, I know what comes next, but if you weren't sure about what was coming up next on the page, I write some little glasses there to remind myself that there's something coming up. And I might write I might have written moon upon a colder heart there at the end of the page, just to remind myself what was coming next. And that is basically it. I've got a little lift on that C sharp, just to make sure I do get up there before I get enough lift before I start the descent. And then I've written there, go to stage right, because that's obviously what I did when I was performing it. So I hope that helps, and that's all. Thank you.